Okay, last time we worked out understanding the landscape metrics, and we focused on the first part, the composition. So today we will practice on configuration. And again, the calculation is a little bit more complicated, but we will try to focus on some basics and then using a smaller area. That means you don't have to calculate that much. And then using that as a way to practice the concept. Okay, so first thing we need to talk about is the neighbor rule. We already mentioned that. The first thing a lot of people will do is to calculate the proportion. And proportion gives you the overall idea of what's the percentage they are, but they didn't give you how many they will be. So we need to define how many patches there are in a certain landscape. But depending on the rules, neighbor rules, you're using either the 4-neighbor rule, 8-neighbor rule, or 3-neighbor rule. So for this, it means that the two cells need to be connected with each other to be considered a patch, if they are in the same patch. For this, they can consider the 8. That means the diagonal ones, as long as they kind of connected, they can be considered as 1. The 12-neighbor rule is even more relaxed because as long as there are two different types of cover type in between, they can still be considered 1. Okay, so this is the ones we need to know first. In this particular exercise, we will use the 4-neighbor rule. So that means they have to be connected with each other to be considered in the same patch. Okay? And the second thing is that we will calculate the mean patch size. That means we will first calculate how many patches there are and what's the area for each individual patch. And then we will calculate the mean patch size. It should be relatively easy. And the last two will be a little bit more complicated. So what we want to know is all these, there are different metrics that we'll be using because now we are working on one type of cover type connected to the other one. So if there are 4, for example, in our case, there are 3 different cover types, right? So how many combinations we can have? They can be connected to yourself, to the other 2 types, and then vice versa. So using that way, we will calculate the probability of adjacency. That means for each individual cover type, what's the likelihood they are connected to different types? And using that, we can calculate the contagion later and using the so-called Q matrix. And this is, I'll explain a little more in detail. So this is the first part. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll using the 4-neighbor rule to calculate the total numbers of patch and mean patch size. Using the hypothetical ones is in the early settlement landscape. And then we'll calculate number of edge and edge to area ratio. Again, so this shouldn't be too hard. For the second part, when we want to know what's the edge and edge relationship, we will use a subset of landscape because all these is it's a little bit complicated, so we'll just focus on a small section. I'll give you a sheet later. So what we will do is we will use this one to calculate again the proportion and all kinds of different basic information, how many patches, things like that. And then we will count the adjacency for all cover type for this one. So, for example, you will count like how many edges there are white and white, white and white, white and gray, and you want to count all of them to see how they connected with each other. But we don't count an edge, okay? Because there's nothing to compare to. And then we will looking at the, let me pass this to you so we can get something to look at while I'm talking. Okay, you can try to read the description on how to do it and in relation to the table. And let's look at the table sheet. There are tables for this week, table 3.4, 3.5 is for counting the number of edge and mean edge size as well as edge and edge ratio. Table 3.6 and onward will be using a subset. That means the smallest. Okay, using this one. Sorry, this is not very clear, but what you need to do is actually this is a 5x5 cell. Double check. Okay. Sorry, I will print the part. Yeah, this is a 5x5. Like this. I'll show you the actually there's another one here. So from table 3.6 onward, you will use the figure 3.2. It's a smaller set, so it's easier to calculate. And then we use that to calculate the pairs. And now I have the descriptions on how to calculate it, and we will get the matrix. The matrix is essential to use to calculate the Q matrix. It's important to calculate the potential that we'll use it. Okay, so let's try to work it out and let me know if you have any questions.